First of all, I would like to thank Prof. Jiang for inviting me for delivering this talk, and also thanks for Haiqing for your chairing. And my name is Jian Ji from Hohai University, and my topic will be on the slopes reliability analysis based on the deep learning of digital images of random fields using a very common AI tool, CNN. Okay, so right. Before the slide, before the presentation, I would like to acknowledge some of my research students for the work related to this topic, and some of the topic material will be have been published in.
Excuse me, I'm afraid you didn't put it on full screen. Your PPT slide.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So, shall we? Okay.
Yes, it's okay now.
Yeah, it works okay now. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So some of the material are being published in some previous papers, right? As some work from my research student and myself. The topic of the content outline of this topic will be on this path. I just maybe due to, I think we already over time, so but to speed up this session, I would do some quick short review of my research background. So, the topic is actually is very simple. As you know, the key idea is that one problem related to our slope stability analysis or landslide analysis is the soil's spatial variability or the uncertainty, which is a very natural uncertainty property to the natural, geological condition. But in our research community, when we are talking about the slope reliability analysis, to accounting for the spatial variability, which usually is modeled by some called random field simulation techniques. We usually trying to represent the random field by some mathematical models, which I will give some brief discussion later. So the problem is the random field is mostly introduced in, as far as I know, currently we're using numerical analysis to obtain the to represent the random field and also to analyze the slope factor safety. But take a 2D slope reliability analysis as an example. When we are trying to discretize the random field using some mathematical models, usually we want to to represent this kind of random field as the actually you can see is a digital random, right? With randomness, a digital image. We usually trying to use some discrete random variables to represent it. But for the accuracy, we usually sometimes it could involve very high dimensional variables, so-called random variables. And in this kind of condition, we could be very computationally intensive to calculate the failure probability when we do the reliable natural slopes, especially for small failure probability problems. So the solution for my study is we still consider a very simple solution as I use a surrogate model to represent the slope random fields through random field. The use of in my talk is the CNN the technique, and we will use it for as a basic tool for image process when we look at the random fields as the digital images. So the random field, but how did I got the random field? Usually, if you have some real data like from the site testing or like the site exploration, you may have some real world knowledge of the randomness of the soil condition. But as an illustration only in this topic, I just trying to to show that we use some kind of the random field models to generate the synthetic random field data. What we use is the KL expansion as a basic tool for the random field generator, right? Then there's some basic topic on the KL expansion and also some fundamental concepts. The most important thing is to we use so-called correlation function with knowing parameters called the correlation function distance to represent with those fundamental statistical information we can represent the random field or to generate the digital image of a random field. So the spatial value in terms of the correlation distance or model, actually here we use two types of common correlation models, like the exponential or Gaussian type, to as a fundamental comparison. This figure actually, I just want to say that for the to achieve the good balance between the accuracy and the efficiency, you have to properly choose the the random variables, a number of random variables to represent correctly your random field. You can see that if we set a very high error as a threshold value to construct the random field, you can bring up many random variables around maybe 200 or 100 for a good accuracy. And also another problem is that when we are talking about the random field, we usually, especially for geotechnical problems, we can use them borehole data or CPD data, right, for on-site testing to to improve your knowledge about the randomness. This is called the conditional random field, and this topic will be also covered in this study. So the conditional random field is the concept is also very simple. Just to to consider the conditional random field as a combination of unconditional random field, which is called the baseline random field, and also the knowing prior dispute knowledge of the conditioning information. And in terms of the the CNN, I think there's some very many of us are already very known about these fundamental concepts, and some other researchers just now already introduced a lot of details, and I'm not going to the details, but actually we just use it as a tool for our study. And okay, the algorithm and implementation issues already developed very well in the literature, and also we use the MATLAB, the CNN in the MATLAB for our study too. But in this back to our topic, how do we prepare the database of our analysis? Taking the example slope, right? Some example slope. The key idea is to generate the random field digital images, which will be used as a fundamental inputs to our CNN model. And that is a inputs, but the outputs of our prediction or our target is the factor safety or the stability, right? The stability number. To represent if the slope is valid or not. So the data pair, that simply means we will use the digital image of random fields and calculate the factor safety as our fundamental data pairs for the CNN model training. So architecture of the CNN is also very standard. And interested, if you're interested, you can just look into some MI or machine learning literature to have a good study of the CNN concepts. And the model training, we have some techniques to improve the model training, like how to determine the hyperparameters, use Bayesian optimization to search for the optimal solution of the hyperparameter, etc. And the model training also involves the cross validation technique. Also, we use the tenfold cross validation for this study also. And this is the framework or calculation flowchart for our the process, data process and analysis. So for simplicity, I used some examples to illustrate the efficiency or feasibility of our method. So this is the example, a very simple example, a single layer slope with a runner field for the the undrained condition, undrained cohesion. In this, the database we use, we first consider just 100 samples, or in another way, we generate 100 runner fields of the same slope model, and calculate the factor safety, use the finite element analysis, and so that we can obtain the 100 pairs of the data that needed for the CNN model training. And this is the training results, or the the process of the training. We achieved a very good accuracy with limited time, and the training process for in this illustration example for the 100 runner fields digital images, the training costs around 2 minutes on the personal computer. And this is training results or training, the performance. Overall, it's good. By we designing a lot of different architecture of the CNN. Here we use a total of 6 CNN architectures were used to test, and they all achieved a good accuracy for the Sauergram modeling. And in terms of the training, training parameters for the CNN training, this example takes 100 digital image of the runner field only to training. That means we just need 100 performance function cost, which is the main part of the computational cost. In comparison with the some traditional Monte Carlo simulation for the same problem, probability study, we may run 1,000 or 10,000 or more G function costs for the same accuracy. This is the shows very clear that the CNN-based digital image of the runner field training can be used for the failure probability analysis. Second example is a double layer soil slope. Also, here we have multiple random variables, in total of around 4 random variable for this study example. And the same results. This is the the data preparation for the CNN model, including the generation of the digital random fields, and also the computation of the factor safety of each of the sampling image. And this is the outcome of the CNN modeling as a Sauergram model, and also further used for probabilities of failure analysis. The testing shows also very good accuracy, and also the efficiency is very clear compared with other methods for the slope reliability analysis. So here, the final different method means actually we use a FLAC software for the slope stability analysis when we have the generated random fields digital image. The comparison between different methods are shown in this table. A lot of numbers are shown here, but in general, I want to say that the CNN-based model can achieve the same failure, small failure probabilities with less than 5% error. And the third example are also very typical that we consider use borehole data, or in other words, maybe we can refer it as a CPD data, right? A different CPD or different borehole data for the conditional random field representation. So in a simple conclusion is that no matter how many conditional boreholes we are considering for our random field or digital random fields, the same model can also to treat such a problem, whether you have the conditional random field or not. And comparison also indicate that the performance of the same Sauger model in conditional field simulation very good. For different, like here we consider just one borehole as our conditional CPD data, and 3 boreholes from CPT4 to CPT to CPT4, and all 5 CPTs. So in different scenarios of the CPT borehole data considered, the model can achieve very right in terms of the fitting regression and coefficients. You can see that the performance is very excellent. And this is also the training comparison between the different schemes of the conditional random fields, and the failure probability can be achieved calculated by the same model with only around 100 to 200, just a few very small portion of the perform function calls, and it can save a lot of time if you want to do the random field simulation for slow reliability analysis. So for short, this is a summary of this talk. So first, I think some relation between the random field of the soil property and calculated failure safety by either your finite difference method or finite element method can be efficiently handled by the same model training. And the input digital image as of the random field is very convenient, and also it's very good concept for our the slow reliability analysis method, other than the traditional concepts that you have to represent random field by some very complicated mathematical models or functional modeling, right? And this digital image based CNN slow reliability analysis can lead to very can save a lot of computation time, because we just use as I just demonstrated in my case study, only 100 or 200, right? Just a few hundred model training, right? 100 G function call or the FDM calculation. And for small failure probability problem, the database should be expanded. But when the samples are sufficient, the cross validation contributes to give an unbiased estimate of the PF from our case study findings. And the Sauger model requires smaller database for training and can reach high accuracy in the prediction of conditional random field. So I think, okay, that's all of my presentation, right?